No surprise here, Netanyahu has rejected the ceasefire proposal by Biden. Says that the Israeli government will continue the war until Hamas is completely destroyed, even if that means killing a bunch of innocent civilians.
There are mixed signals tonight from the Israeli government about whether they will agree to a US peace plan for Gaza. The Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Israel could start adopting parts of the plan, but not unless it leads to the total destruction of Hamas. Tonight it's been confirmed that 4 hostages are dead, including one British-Israeli man, Nadav Popplewell. Last week, President Biden set out a 3-part peace plan, starting with an initial 6-week ceasefire, leading to an end in the fighting, the freeing of all the hostages, and the reconstruction of Gaza without Hamas in power. Our Middle East correspondent Lucy Williamson hears from people inside Gaza and in the town of Sderot.
If Bibi Netanyahu had accepted the proposal that was accepted by Hamas like a week or so ago, the hostages that just recently died would still be alive.
On the Israel-Gaza border to gauge reaction to the new plan.
The price of Gaza's war is rising as its cities crumble. The price of peace, too high for leaders on both sides. Israel said it had bombed more than 50 targets since yesterday, but Hamas is still fighting here, and hopes for the new ceasefire deal were mixed.
Hamas should raise its demands and seriously adhere to the conditions they set, which are the people's demands.
Hamas, accept the deal. It's enough. Enough of what we lost. We urge Hamas to stop the war.
Israel's prime minister is negotiating on 2 fronts. His far-right allies say he must continue the war until Hamas is destroyed, or they'll bring down the government. He's insisted that his conditions for a ceasefire haven't changed.
We have gone a long way to return the hostages while keeping the war's objectives in mind, primarily the elimination of Hamas. We insist.
The Israeli government has done very little to actually free hostages, besides the few times, I think it was like once, maybe twice, where there was a short ceasefire and a release of hostages on both sides. Though the Israeli government has killed several hostages themselves.
That we will achieve both. It's all part of the plan, not something I've just added.
But Hamas has said it won't free more hostages without a guarantee the war will end. Tonight, Israel learned that 4 more captives were confirmed to have died. Chaim Perry, Yoram Metzger, Amiram Cooper, and British-Israeli Nadav Popplewell.
I mean, the Israeli government is not unknown to kill their own civilians taken as hostages. Look at the 3 IDF members that were shot down, and the 3 hostages shot down by the IDF, as well as the hostages that died in airstrikes from the IDF.
After almost 8 months of war, much of northern Gaza lies in ruins. But Israel's prime minister is struggling to end the war because he hasn't achieved his war goals. He hasn't brought back all the hostages. He hasn't destroyed Hamas. The US president says Hamas is no longer capable of carrying out the kind of attack it did on the 7th of October. But Israelis living here by the Gaza border say they still don't feel safe.
Okay, what about the millions of Palestinians that don't feel safe no matter where they're at in Gaza because the Israeli government come in and kill them? What about the people in the West Bank that don't feel safe because the IDF will come into the West Bank and raid whatever house and kill people?
This is the last time Yarin saw her neighbourhood, trapped in her home in Sderot by the Gaza border as Hamas gunmen ran through the streets.
You know, if my middle...
She and her 3 children fled to Jerusalem the next day. A ceasefire now, she says, won't be enough to send them home.
We will free the hostages, but few years from now, your life will be... You will be the next hostages. You will be the next people that get murdered, that the women that raped. This will be happen again. This is...
Yeah, and this is something Palestinians think about every day, that they could be the next victim of the Israeli government. They could be the next one kidnapped and tortured by the IDF in Israeli military prisons, that they could be next to have their land and house seized by the Israeli government, either in Jerusalem or in the West Bank.
Fire will kill us.
Ending this conflict rests with the leaders of Israel and Hamas, locked in a war for their own survival.